Hello, and welcome to Meet the Teacher for Primary 7. We hope to share lots of information with you in the following slides. The P7 teachers this year are myself, Mr. Clarkson, and Mrs. Naeem.
Pupils have had a great start to life in Primary 7. They have adjusted well back into school. We have a soft start every morning from 8:30 till 9 a.m, which includes self-registration and then choosing from a different variety of activities ready to get them engaged in learning. Learning is very independent, and of course we have a few new rules to keep us safe, including extra hand washing and hand sanitising. This is a Primary 7N classroom. As you can see, there are different spaces for pupils to work in. There are quieter zones, there are collaborative working areas, and also areas which allow for more teaching input and direct teaching. Pupils will be allocated a seat, mostly for the day or for the week, and they will stay in that space. Tables are regularly cleaned with spray, especially before and after our break and also before and after our lunch. We have an information board which sets out the learning for the day, including a visual timetable, and also has activities that the pupils will be doing on a daily basis and throughout the week.
In Primary 7C's classroom, we have multiple large table spaces designed to help with group work. We also have multiple display boards and whiteboards up in the classroom so that the class are able to see exactly what it is they are doing throughout the day. We have resource trays and tables which contain our own class's resources so that we don't have to worry about sharing with the other class. In literacy this year, we will be focusing on building the skills that the Primary 7s will need when they move up into secondary school and into adult life. We will be focusing on key sounds and patterns in spelling, identifying how to recognise when certain patterns emerge so that our spelling skills are at the top of their game. Our comprehension and reading skills will be supported by the SRA, class novels, and research for various projects. To help improve our writing skills, we will be looking at a variety of different writing subjects, ranging from currently our work on note-taking and informative writing to writing for a purpose and a persuasive writing, and more creative work such as story writing. Just as importantly, to help with building life skills, we will be building on our listening and talking skills, helping to build our social abilities, and by sharing ideas, it will help expand our capabilities.
Our learning this year in Numeracy will include lots of problem solving. We will be using our knowledge of maths to solve multi-step problems set in a real-life context. We will continue with big maths, including clicks and learn it, to ensure that we have strategies to solve maths questions. We will continue with wider maths, making sure that maths is practical, and also use textbooks such as Heinemann Active Maths to ensure that pupils are getting a wide range of maths activities and engaging learning experiences.
As we are in P7, Mrs. Naeem and I believe that it was very important that the Primary 7s learn what it is to be a good role model, as being in Primary 7, the children are going to be looked up to by the younger years. We have looked at the skills we need and who we look up to ourselves as being key to this. Our second topic is Respect Me, which looks at making sure that we understand what is bullying behaviour, and respect. We hope that this will help the Primary 7s to continue to build their resilience so that we know how to overcome the challenges that come in all aspects of life. In sexual education this year, our main tool is going to be the RSHP, Relationships, Sexual Health and Parenthood. This tool will allow us to understand the changes that happen during puberty and later on in life. We will also be going back over what we were doing in Primary 6, just so that everyone is fully up to date. And finally, in keeping myself safe, we will be looking at making sure we understand the dangers of things such as peer pressure and how to make sure that we are making the best decisions to keep ourselves safe.
Digital learning plays a huge part in life in P7. We have already started developing our coding skills using Scratch. Mrs. Donaldson has very kindly bought us Spheros to help with coding as well. We are going to be developing digital independence. We are hopefully going to have one-to-one iPads, which will provide a homeschool link. Pupils will be bringing these home. They will then use them in class. We are hoping to use things like the diary, emails, Teams, to try and get pupils to be independent with their one-to-one device. This will of course include digital creativity using apps such as Book Creator and Explain Everything to highlight and showcase our learning.
This year we hope to cover quite a range of topics. We are currently working through our first topic, influential figures, creating fact files and addressing why we remember these people. In a journey through the decades, we will be looking at changes since the 20th century, doing a decade-by-decade breakdown. And when we study conflict, rather than looking at a certain war, as previous years have done, we will be getting to look at conflict in general, what the causes are, and the scale it can be. The classes will choose conflicts and investigate all aspects of them, giving them a more independent approach to their learning. In democracy and politics, we will be looking at the Scottish Government and how our Parliament works in comparison to other countries and past government types. Leadership in Me will be looking at what it means to be a leader, the skills required, and how we can become leaders to ourselves and others.
We have many other topics planned, including 7 Worlds, 1 Planet, which will be looking at our wonderful world, the 7 continents, including their climate, their landscape and wildlife. We will be looking at equality and diversity, including the most current and topical issue of Black Lives Matter and ensuring that we have equality for all. We will be looking at materials and their properties for science. Our topic that we're moving on to will be leadership within me and looking at our role in Primary 7, and we are hoping to have some sort of house captain and house leadership team set up. This will look very different to years before, however we will make sure that this works well for our Primary 7s. And another topic that we're hoping to do is inventions and have it in a Dragon's Den theme, which worked very well for the Primary 7s last year.
For home learning, the main focus will be on spelling and maths, with appropriate resources that can be used easily at home. For the foreseeable, we will not be sending things home, so learning will be digital for the most part. The flipped learning will allow you to get a better idea of what the classes are doing and help them to solidify their knowledge, both in school and at home.
Sharing learning is very important for us in Primary 7. We will be keeping you updated with your child's learning using learning journals. We will have regular observations and stories so that you know what is going on in our school and in our classroom. We will be sharing home learning on learning journals. Please continue to share your home learning using learning journals too. Although Teams is set up and is ready to use, learning journals we feel is easier and also more engaging for pupils, who we hope will be getting onto learning journals to access their learning too. Teams will be used for independent pupil work, including OneNote, and for pupils to engage with Microsoft Suite such as OneNote and their assignments.
As previously mentioned, the classes have been brilliant about coming back into school with all the rules and regulations. But we wanted to do a quick reminder. Children should only be bringing drawstring or plastic bags to school if absolutely necessary. Keeping cross-contamination down will help in the long run, so please help us as much as possible. Make sure belongings are clearly labelled and that your children are bringing everything home with them, so jumpers and the like won't get confused. And please keep checking on guidance from the Scottish Government, the NHS and the school to keep everyone safe and healthy. Any changes will be sent home as soon as they are confirmed, and any queries should be addressed to the email on screen.
We are really looking forward to our year in P7. We know that this may look a little different this year, but we will still plan for many of the fun activities that P7 is so well known for. We will have our sports day in May, and we are hoping to have our residential in term 4. Miss Barr has been trying to sort accommodation and activities which will most probably happen next year in June. Further information about this will be shared next week. We are hoping to have a P7 farewell show in term 4 straight after Easter. We will of course have our transition with the high schools that your children will be going to. This will happen in June. Work for this has already happened between cluster primary schools. We are now going to answer some of your questions. We understand that parent anxieties is very high due to school closures and that there has been lost learning time. We are trying our hardest to get to know every single one of our learners, including assessing in the first couple of weeks. We have an increasing coverage of literacy and numeracy being our most targeted subjects alongside health and wellbeing. We will continue to progress through whatever learning was meant to be done in the last term of Primary 6 and move on to the Primary 7 outcomes for numeracy and maths. We will ensure that pupils are in the best position to start high school next year.
We realised that one of the big anxieties from the children was coming back and seeing their peers, as we've all been in lockdown for a while and might not be exactly where we wanted to be. However, we are focusing on the Respect Me and learning about how to not only respect each other, but just get along with each other.
Some parents have asked about activities that P7s normally get to do, such as buddies and excursions. Although all of our Primary 7s have buddies, unfortunately at the moment we cannot be mixing in class groups. However, within the earliest opportunity to do so, we will be. But also, we are hoping to have some virtual buddy meetups. Again, this will take time for us to organise, and at the moment we are letting the Primary 1s settle in. In terms of excursions, we are hoping to have a Primary 7 excursion. We have kept very quiet about it because we wanted to make sure that something was confirmed before we told parents. This week, Miss Barr has worked tirelessly to try and make sure that there is a Primary 7 residential for our P7s this year. Confirmation of this will come next week, hopefully. Some of our pupils and parents are anxious that if there is another lockdown, what happens? At Cramond, we have a full blended learning policy in place and a contingency plan if school was to go into full closure. All our pupils are on Teams, they have logins, and we will just convert to online learning and teaching. It will work similarly as the previous lockdown, with work being issued on learning journals, and for our Primary 7 we are hopeful that we will have our one-to-one iPads soon. These can then be taken home in the event of school closures, and pupils will be working on Teams. This will allow for video calling between teachers and pupils, and also for work to be shared on OneNote. Further information will be given if and as and when needed. A few parents have had questions about the reading assessment that was timed. This was an SRA exercise. Pupils were given warning that this would be timed. They were given 3 minutes to read a passage and answer as many questions. It's okay if they didn't finish. It's absolutely fine because according to their answers, they were then given an SRA activity to do. SRA is something that is great for pupils to work on independently. They can power through the cards, read them, answer them. They then review them themselves, and it gives them excellent study skills and ready for high school. Many of you have asked the question about when we will be getting in touch about sharing your children's learning. We have been assessing over the last couple of weeks. We have got to know all our learners better, and in the next few weeks we will be having learning journal comments about each individual child, which will be followed by a parent consultation in October.
One of the major parts of Primary 7 is the Primary 7 hub, and we realised that this room isn't what everybody would want it to be due to the restrictions that are in place.
However, we think that this room can become something amazing, because the classes have already shown us that they can work in the same space, even if they can't work together. And while we're all still taking a while to get used to it, we can and will make this space something amazing.
Many of you have queried about transition to high school. We understand that this is a very important part of Primary 7. We have already started liaising with the Royal High School, and we will be in contact with other high schools that our pupils go to. This will include a 3-day visit in June. This is being planned for and will hopefully be able to take place. We are also hoping that our children will be able to liaise and work alongside other cluster school pupils using Teams. Information about this will follow once it has been confirmed.
Many parents are querying why we have the classes in 2 separate halves, and the reason for this is due to the guidelines we have been given. So even though the classes are in the same room, they have to be treated as different classes, which is why we cannot have them mixing. As soon as the guidance changes on this, we will be able to have them mixing and into different groups throughout the year rather than just in their classes.
We have been asked by many parents about what we are currently teaching in the classroom and how you can support at home. Our learning plans are always uploaded onto Teams, which you can log into using your child's login information. They are in the channel Our Learning 2020-2021, and in the files section, the plans are uploaded every week to ensure that if we go into lockdown or if your child is absent, that learning can continue at home. We are also using learning journals, as previously mentioned, to update you on how your child is getting on. This will include regular class information shared about what learning has been happening each week. We will also be doing observations to tell you how your child is progressing within different areas of the curriculum.
We understand that a lot of people are worried about things this year, but we want to assure you that we are going to do everything we can to make sure that Primary 7 is the best that it can possibly be for your children.
We want to say thank you to all our learners and families for the support that you provide us. We look forward to working in partnership with you throughout this year to make sure that Primary 7 is as successful and positive for your child. Please continue to engage with us through learning journals by sharing your thoughts and your feedback, and if you have any queries, we are more than happy to help. We look forward to working with you this year. Thank you.
Thank you.